Hi, kitty cats. I was born transgender and I will be forever transgender. Why? Because identity and gender are rooted in knowledge we possess when we're born. So, ask me anything in this live stream, whether the science, the experience, the surgery. I'm willing to take your questions about the transgender experience. So let me first say hello to Mischief. I love that. Mischief, maybe. Erica, good to see you as well. James Bridgen says, lol, you funny. All right, let's live it up. I am Amethyst Herrick. I'm an author and a podcaster. You can check the links that are scrolling below for more information about me and the work that I do. My personal website you'll see here is amethyst.io, where you'll find all the social media networks I'm on, as well as information about coaching that I do, coaching for gender transition. So please follow me for updates on everything that I do. My professional website you'll see is genderidentitytoday.com. All my articles and all my podcasts are published there, as well as work from other contributors. So if you like this particular content, I hope you'll consider subscribing at genderidentitytoday.com, because you can get a subscription for like $2 a month. And if you would like to contribute content, like articles or something, to genderidentitytoday.com, please contact me using the contact page on my personal website. And finally, if you would like to leave a tip for me, there is another link that's going to come up to coffee.com, and you can send a tip to me as you see fit. So hello, Genevieve, and hello, Matt. Thank you so much already for the gifts. That's cool. Yes, gender coaching. Somebody, I'm actually not going to say your name, but somebody with teeth here could be interested. So yeah, if you'd like to reach out, it'd be fun. All right. Forever transgender. It sounds like a rare B-side from ABC or something. For a second, I want to channel like Casey Kasem, right? British band ABC with their controversial smash hit, Forever Transgender. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's just me. So I'm taking questions, whatever questions you got. I would love to answer them. Thank you so much. I'll call you Moscow. Someone with teeth has said call them Moscow. I'm sure of pronouns, so I'm not going to say it. Thank you for following. So let me talk a little bit about like how I know, first of all, that I was born transgender. Easily by 4 years old, I was aware that I was different from how people wanted to treat me. And it wasn't, super clear, right? I mean, at some point you kind of go, well, gosh, I don't know, what does this mean? And so I just thought I was totally like my sisters. By about 8 years old, came pretty obvious that other people did not see me the way I saw myself. And even though it did take me another, a long time before I finally transitioned gender, I did. And I will tell you, it was the absolute best experience, the best thing I ever did for myself. And I believe very strongly that people, when they either just on their own get gender affirming care, even if it's not medical, what we do is we start to express who we are, like literally, the person inside that we know we are, that we may not see in the mirror when we look in the mirror. But the more that you can align those two, the actual reflection that you can see in the mirror with the person you are inside, oh my gosh, the reward to your life is I can't even describe it. Now, I know that there are at least Genevieve, Erica, and Mischief who can tell me, yes, that's true, especially Erica, which, Erica, I hope your healing is still going well. It's been 3 weeks, I think, so hopefully you're doing well. But there is study after study after study that confirms that gender affirming care works really well. And when people start to align who they are on the inside with who they are on the outside, with how they look on the outside even, then they live happier, more rewarding, more fulfilled lives. I mean, I'm living proof. I don't know how else to put that. For a second now, I feel like Cartman. Not only have I been Casey Caseman, now I'm Eric Cartman. I'm gonna have to find some girl character to relate myself to, right? So, I would love it if anybody has a question. I'm totally willing to talk about surgery. I know I have done. I've done live streams where I actually talked about the changes in my anatomy and how it works over the course of gender transition. Like talking about intimacy, I don't know why I had to make that like so vague. How it works. I'm just talking about, whether or not you can have good intimacy even after you transition. Oh, and the quick answer is yes. So I'm willing to answer questions about anything that you have to ask. First, I'm going to take a quick drink of water. So one thing I'm noticing is that my eyes are kind of dry. I don't know why. But I do also get to bat my eyelashes at all of you, and hopefully you love that. I also got my hair done got my hair cut this week and repurpled. So I thought hopefully this looks good. Hopefully everybody's going, wow, that looks much better than like the completely shapeless thing I was doing, prior to, Wednesday. So, Moscow, do you want to hear some information about gender coaching? Because I'm more than happy to give you a quick rundown. And since I'm not even going to bother waiting. I'll just say, when I started transition, the first thing I did was it's because I was used to working as a manager, so I managed software development teams, and so I was accustomed to going to like product managers, so people who had a stake in the software, and getting the biggest requirements that needed to be fulfilled, as well as milestones that needed to be hit. So I would. Sorry, I just saw Edward Kerfin, who said, good Lord. Actually, it's good lady. Thanks, though. And sorry, it threw me off my game a little bit. So anyway, what I was accustomed to doing was getting requirements, finding out the milestones that needed to be hit on a particular schedule, and then putting together a project plan. And then getting status every week, or every day, actually, and making sure that the project went to completion. So I will tell you, Moscow, that's the type of thing that you do. As far as coaching, we would talk about your big goals and, what to do first. Because like I have one person who puts a lot of emphasis on surgery. She wants to get surgery first. And what I did was stuff that was not completely noticeable. Names, coming out, talking to people about, here's how I'd like to be addressed. So that was noticeable. But things that were very personal, but ultimately didn't have to do a lot with physicality. So she's somewhat prioritizing physicality, and I have somebody else who wants to prioritize voice. So the way that you want to transition is the way that you should transition. And it's super important that that you hit the goals that you want to. So anyway, Moscow, if you're still interested, if you're still there, by all means reach out. I think that there's a lot to be gained from actually having somebody else telling your goals to somebody else, because I was accustomed to doing this, but when I've talked to people, it's like they don't necessarily know exactly what they would want to do. And so you start talking with them and they go, oh yeah, that's right. I guess I didn't think about like name. I have to do name, and I have to change the mortgage and all my credit cards. And so anyway, that's important information. So all right, I'm going to look quickly at comments here. So Erica says we're 3 weeks in and she's still healing super well. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Erica. It's a good, I hope that the surgery has given you the sort of peace of mind that I ended up getting, because that was really phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. So Brittany Allison asks, "Hi, what do I do if I can't medically transition?" That's a great question. I think it depends on how restrictive we're talking. Because even if, because I know I've known several people who, over the course of, I mean, even years, they would go to work and present as work knew them, as it were, and I know that that's not, it's not fun when you're trying to transition, but so they would go to work presenting as expected, and then they could come home and present as they wanted to, as they would choose to do. And then on the weekend, of course, it was much easier. If it's possible at all to medically transition, obviously I would recommend it. But I would also say, like hormone therapy doesn't work really quickly. And or just typically doesn't work very quickly. You generally have anywhere between 6 and 9 months before you even start breast bud development, and 4 to 9 months or so before you start to develop breast buds. So, like, in my opinion, you can even start things, and you could do hormone therapy, very very mild hormone therapy, hormone replacement therapy. So I think there are things to do. And actually, now that I think about it, you may be in a state where now that's restricted because of the administration that's come in and started restricting these things because for some reason you should do this. So if that's the case, I think there's different answers we'd have to discuss. But there are, like, at the end of the day, my hormone therapy, and I'm not saying everybody should be able to do this. At the end of the day, my hormone therapy ends up running me about $30 a month. Yeah, about $30-40 a month, which I understand may be outside some people's price range, but if you can do it on your own, possibly even better. So, all right, Megan, hi, good to see you here. Megan, I know there's an outstanding email to you, and I'm going to get back to you. I'm sorry. It's been a really busy week. So anyway, Brittany, hopefully that was anywhere near good of an answer. If you have more directed questions, please drop them down there in the comments. I've seen a couple of people put things in the TikTok chat. Something about attracting a country girl. So I'm not really sure. I happen to have come from Los Angeles, so you've done a poor job, sir. I don't know what else to tell you. Having come from Los Angeles, I think I grew up with a certain amount of acceptance. I mean, this was in the 1970s, so acceptance and yet not acceptance from my family. Not great acceptance, but I mean, once we got into like the 1980s, 1990s, certainly, it seemed like I lived in an environment where I could express myself, especially once I got the hell out of my parents' house. That made a big difference. And Brittany, who knows, maybe that's another aspect of what you're talking about. But I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, it was country girls, right? Sure, country girls. I don't know. I'm not looking to attract country girls, so thank you so much for your information, your advice. But yeah, thanks so much. All right. I'm going to throw just a topic out there because why not? Oh, hang on. Oh my gosh, I love this name. Oh my gosh, Gin and Toxic? Oh gosh, that is the greatest name. Gin and Toxic. Thank you so much. So Gin and Toxic asks this phenomenal question. How do you get the confidence to try more femme hairstyles? Oh, that's difficult. So what I did, now, like I said, I grew up in California, in Southern California. So I just grew my hair longer. And I mean, and this was, gosh, most of my life. I mean, by the time I was about 19 years old, it was probably shoulder length. And then in graduate school, so up until about 27, 28, it was coming close to like waist length. So I've always had longer hair as it was. The what gave me the confidence to do that, it's interesting. I think that there's a cycle that you'll find. Once you start letting your hair grow longer, and again, this is environment specific. If you have an environment that is not going to allow you to do this, like if you're going to have a parent who's going to give you good beatings for this, honestly, I recommend you wait until you're in a better environment. But when I started to go longer, it added to my confidence. So it ends up being cyclic. As your hair grows longer, you get more confidence, and et cetera, et cetera. I will say this. I was scared I have always wanted hair that looked pretty much like this. Not necessarily purple. I actually wanted it blue-black originally, which is, I had a blue-black for almost 20 years of my life. So when I ended up going for bangs here, first I asked my stylist, and because, I'm like, can I pull this off? Can my face pull this off? And even more to the point, could my hairline pull this off? Because, you can put bangs there, but if they're a little too thin, sometimes it's kind of obvious. And I didn't want to go and get hair plugs and whatever. I know I could have, but it was not interesting to me. So anyway, so she played around with my hair a little bit, and then ultimately, because we're talking about confidence, I said, do you think this is going to work? And she goes, I don't know. And then she combs it all out. And then she goes, okay, close your eyes. And I close my eyes. And then she cuts. And I was like, hey, whoa, because did you do that? So I didn't know that you were going to do bangs. And she goes, oh, I thought you'd said yes. No, I was just doing that so you can get hair in your eyes. So anyway, she cut them into bangs, and we looked at it and we went, yeah, okay, that worked. That worked. So it's a cyclic process. As you grow your hair out, I think you will gain the confidence to try more and more. There are also, as silly as this sounds, there are phone apps, right, that you can put your picture in and try several different hairstyles to see what's going to look good for your face, because it makes a difference, right? If you have a round face, or if you have a more square face, or a pointy little face, it makes a difference. So that's another thought too. There are websites and phone apps, and honestly, like hairstyle, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but hairstyle trials app type thing. Totally worth it though, because if you want to try out different things, including makeup and stuff, there are phone apps that'll do that. Hey, even TikTok filters for that matter. So that might be something else to look at. So Gin and Toxic, still love that name. Hopefully that was a good answer. All right, so Brittany says she should have been more specific. Her issue would be pre-existing health conditions. Okay. So I will tell you, I've had a conversation going on with a friend of mine who has a friend who may not be a good candidate for hormone replacement therapy. If HRT works for you, then cool. This was somebody who had, again, health conditions that made him a bad candidate for testosterone hormone therapy, not estrogen. So this was a transgender man. As far as surgery goes, that's tough. I wish I could answer that better. I'm not a surgeon, right? I'm a chemist. I was a biochemist originally, so I could talk a little better about hormone therapy. That oftentimes there is most of the knowledge that we have about hormone replacement therapy it's not replacing the other genders, the other sexes' hormone. So most of the information we have is about when you have a human body, let's say something AMAB, that something assigned male at birth, that has lost testosterone. And in that case, you end up with, you're replacing the testosterone that's gone away, or estradiol that has gone away. So most of our understanding comes from there. That being said, WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Care, has done has a lot of information as well about hormone replacement therapy. So I think it would depend again what pre-existing health condition, but hormone therapy is typically possible. And anyway, hopefully that addresses a couple of other things. I actually look. There's a couple of questions that I got from TikTok, and I don't know, Matt, if you're going to dump them. We Are the Media has asked the question, do you agree with Trump banning gender surgeries for minors? So We Are the Media, I am a member, in fact, I'm a voting member of WPATH, again, the World Professional Association for Transgender Care, Transgender Health. The recommendation for minors does not include surgery. Do I agree with Trump banning gender surgeries for minors? They're not happening anyway. Or at the very least, we don't recommend it. WPATH doesn't recommend it. Trump is doing this, in my opinion, to satisfy a constituency that is barely relevant. So anyway, do I agree? Quick answers, no. Because there are also... because that, first of all, those gender surgeries are only for transgender youth. If you are, like, let's say, if you are a cisgender boy or girl and you end up with precocious puberty, like, that's fine. You know, gender affirming care is fine then. And then surgeries as well, that's fine too. Like cisgender girls who grow too large of breasts and want them reduced, Trump's okay with that too. It's really only for people like I am that Trump wants to limit gender affirming care. That, and I don't know how you feel on this, but that is discrimination. And discrimination does not have a place in the United States, period. So there. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not, because I don't agree with discrimination and the hate that grew this discrimination. So there you go. Matt. Okay, so let's see. Oh my gosh. Matt has pulled out statistics. Thanks, Matt. So what do you consider rare cases? We Are the Media, I don't know if that gave you an indication, because again, we could be talking about, cisgender youth who have precocious puberty. Matt says it's happened like 3 times in all of history that a youth has gotten gender-affirming surgery. But again, what WPATH recommends is puberty blockers that have been in use now literally for 30 years. And we have plenty of information on their use and their safety. And surgery is not recommended until, at the very least, the transgender youth grow up, so that they're considered adults, so 18 and up, at least in the U.S. And another little bit here too. Generally, so WPATH recommendations say that you should be on hormone replacement therapy first for a year before even getting gender-affirming surgery. So you're talking really more like 19 years old at the very earliest that you'd be looking at with most transgender youth. All right, now, We Are the Media says, how do I feel about hormone replacement therapy ruining children's puberty? I just said that hormone replacement therapy is not recommended for transgender youth, only puberty blockers. And puberty blockers have been shown that when you stop taking the puberty blocker, puberty sets in. So I don't know if that's ruining puberty just to delay it, but maybe I'll stand with what Matt says. Matt also says, I feel like muting you the next time you say something stupid. All right, let me look at YouTube comments. Biblical Seekers has asked, do I believe in God? I do. I believe in all gods. I believe that every God is the same God. And so there you are. I don't know if that answered or not, but you got what you got. So let's see. Spaghetti Geist has said minors get sex assignment surgery most often when the baby is intersex. Technically what you mean there, Spaghetti Geist, is not intersex, but actually has both outwardly presenting genitalia, which is different. There are over 1,200 identified intersex characteristics, most of which are most of which are endocrinological. So it's intersex is a little bit too vague for that. So yes, that does happen. It's rare, obviously, and in my opinion, because I don't know if you're asking for my opinion, but in my opinion, even that's wrong, because it's generally parents. Wow, Mistress of the Dork has just showed up here. Elvira, oh no, sorry, Mistress of the Dork. Parents are the ones who choose that. And my parents chose me a name that they thought would fit for me, but it didn't. They chose colors for me that they thought would fit, but they didn't. And so I don't think parents should choose a gender or even the assigned sex at birth for children. This is my belief. Emily says, happy Saturday. Hi. Happy Saturday. Mischief has said, I agree with Trumpy XX. I think leave kids be until old enough. Agreed. And that's what WPATH recommends. So I think that's where I kind of go, why do you have to make laws that ultimately end up doing what WPATH would recommend? The bad thing is that now these laws end up being made to prevent all gender-affirming care, including safe gender-affirming care, including gender-affirming care that has been shown to be not just, safe, but also effective at helping youth, transgender youth, like make it to 18, which is kind of important. One of the statistics, of course, that Mistress of the Dork is what you call your girlfriend, Matt. That's good. One of the statistics that I think gets lost often is that the transgender community has a rate of suicidal ideation or attempts orders of magnitude, 2 orders of magnitude than the worst country on the planet. That's a big, big point. I know that when I was younger than 18, I had those thoughts. And so that means that, I think that if I had gotten gender-affirming care, it might have helped. I mean, obviously I made it here, right? I made it here. But any other help would have been valuable, in my opinion. All right, Ned7000. Hey, all, sorry you're late again. No, don't worry about it. Emily says, Trump is wrong on trans kids. Obviously, if you're trying to limit things that we know are safe only because it is somebody transgender who wants it, it's hate and it's discrimination and it's ridiculous. So there. Mischief, I'm sorry, I'm not. It does PBS, can't does. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand what your comment says. Can't do penile inversion. Okay, so I think being trans is great, but hard to do it. It ain't easy and too hard for kids. I don't know. I see a lot of people who have brought this up say, yeah, but your brain's not even complete, right? Your brain's still baking until you're 25 years old. Okay, why are we letting people vote for in elections at 18? If you're too dumb to know who you are, aren't you too dumb to know who should be president? So, for that matter, before 25, you're able to buy alcohol. You're able to buy other things. Oh, puberty blockers. Oh, thank you, Mischief. My apologies. So, if we're too dumb, if adults are not capable of understanding some of these things earlier than 25, I think it's really important that we change a lot of things then. You certainly don't want to send people younger than 25 into battle, let's say. You don't want people younger than 25 buying alcohol. You don't want them buying cigarettes. You don't want them being able to buy, like in Colorado, get weed. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I don't know that that's what you're saying, but there you go. All right, I'm going to start looking at, let's see. Matt, oh, We Are the Media has been banned. Whoopsie daisies. So Matt says the laws end up affecting adults and make safe treatment harder to get for everyone. Very true. There are definitely laws in the works or passed that have also made gender affirming care harder for adults. And I mean, if you look at one of the executive orders that Trump signed, it mentions children under 19, which is actually older than those are adults. So, in any event, I do agree with you, and that's why ultimately, I disagree with how insurance has ultimately been implemented here in the United States. So that doesn't help. But Spaghetti Geist makes an excellent point. You're able to drive at 16, so for 9 years you're too dumb to know who you are, but you're not dumb enough to drive. You're not dumb enough to drive to the store and buy cigarettes. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Spaghetti Geist. There, that's sort of silly, ultimately. All right. So Acer says the last comment shows what's wrong with the current understanding of trans among the general populace. I'd love to hear that more, Acer, if you want to expand on that. I do believe the current understanding of being transgender is very, very poor. And that's partly why I do streams like this, because I hope that people would come and just go, this is just a lady. This is just a lady, first of all, with some scientific understanding. Oh, dang. Acer says hard to explain in comments. It's totally true, though. Oops. Live has been restricted for some audiences. All right. Live visibility restricted. What a bummer. Apparently, I do not comply with the For You feed eligibility standards. I don't know if somebody just reported me or what, but whatever. Hey, Frybird, good to see you. So, Acer, if you want to drop some points, even if they're vague, I'd love to see them. But there's a cool comment here that I actually want to jump on. Hey, Louise, first of all, hi. So Emily says she loves being trans. She was trans kids. There were no puberty blockers when she was growing up. Totally get it. I think so. It was interesting when I was before I started transition. I actually remember having conversations. It was in the 90s. I remember I was in a in a bar. I was in a bar and I was really upset that I was transgender because it was like, what the hell was I going to do? Right? Am I going to end up being able to live a life that, that would suit me? So if you were to ask me, say 3 years ago, would I have wanted to be born cisgender? I think 3 years ago, that's two fingers. Acer, I'm just telling you, right? Here I am trying to be smart on the live stream and I hold up two fingers and now I'm holding up four. Anyway, the point being here is that 3 years ago, I think if you had asked me would I have preferred to be born cisgender, a cisgender girl, I would have said yes. And now that I've completed gender transition, because I've gone through all my social stuff, I've gone through all my medical stuff, I'm really done. I've reached that point where, everybody says, well, I just want to live. And I always thought, when do you get to the point where you just live? But I don't know that I've quite reached the point where you just live because I'm still here doing live streams saying, hi, everybody, I'm transgender. And I think that's kind of where I'm trying to go. Even though I've completed everything, I agree with you, Emily. I love being transgender now because there are experiences that I've had that I know most assigned female at birth people don't. And I've had experiences that I think most assigned male at birth people have not either. And so I think that's a huge thing. I can actually see things from both sides. I can see discrimination from both sides. I can see hate from both sides. I can understand what it was like struggling with social norms that I think a lot of people will never even necessarily experience. So I'm with you, Emily. I think that's a great point. I do enjoy being transgender at this point. Anyway, so Mischief, I don't want you to think I'm disagreeing with you entirely. I totally agree. You know, a lot of very good-looking transgender people never needed puberty blockers. I mean, I didn't transition until I was 52. I'm going to be 55 in, oh my gosh, 11 days. Ooh. So I think it turned out all right. You know, I certainly, the standards are lower when you're in your 50s. So, you know, but I think it turned out all right. So definitely you could still look good transitioning, never having had puberty blockers. That being said, ooh, I also needed hair removal. There were a lot of things that I needed that if I had not ever been affected by testosterone, I wouldn't have had. And so I ended up spending more and more and more because I did not have access to puberty blockers. Though, of course, for what it's worth, when I was at a time I would have needed them, they were not approved for use on youth. So, you know, I guess I gotta suck that bit up, right? All right, so Phoebe G says, Phoebe, you got to give me a name because I know you're trans mask. Anyway, so Phoebe G says, I feel like a lot of people don't want to understand because they prefer to hate. And I agree with that as well. I think oftentimes most of the reason that what we're seeing with the administration currently in the White House, I think these are people who have been blinded by dogma. They've jumped into religion and said, well, my Bible says such and such. You know what? Even if they don't do that, if they don't say my Bible says, they go, my priest said the Bible said, the Pope says whatever. And so there are people who don't even want to try. They just go, you know what, I'm all done. My religion says you're wrong. My religion says God hates you. My religion says you're going to go to hell. Okay. I mean, you've shut down conversation, which is ridiculous to me because conversation is the only way that we have understanding. So I'd love for people to come to my to come to these lives and go, what do you know? Look, a relatively normal person. I mean, I recognize I got purple hair. I mean, I got it. But still, other than that, like, what's different about me? I'm just here talking. So you're right, I believe. Most people, well, I think most of the people who don't understand, a lot of them don't want to because they prefer to hate. And what a sorry indictment of humanity, right? That you go, I'm actually going to keep myself ignorant because I'd prefer just to hate you. Oof, that's rough. Louis says no puberty blockers in the 1970s. Ooh, I'm hearing you, sister, I know. Because I would have needed them in the 1980s. And it wasn't until I believe it was 1993, if I remember correctly, that that they were the FDA called them safe for children. So yes, the medication was around. Yeah, fascinating. I'm trying to remember what it was used for. Prostate cancer, I believe. This is, what's it called? GnRH, gonadotropin. For some reason, that's not hitting my head. But so, oh my gosh. You know, I wasn't fishing for compliments there. Mischief says, I look great. I'm very lucky. Thank you. I was not looking for fishing for compliments, but thank you. Oh, actually, Ned, hey, thanks. Great question. Did I do laser or electrolysis for my face? I started with laser. I've done laser on my entire body, first of all. It was ridiculously expensive, and it was quick. It was great. I responded exceptionally well to laser hair removal and less so to electrolysis. I have done some electrolysis. At this point, what I have is, you know, there's like a little bit of white, like I have some white hairs that still exist on my face, well, and elsewhere. But, you know, it's just so that you know, yeah, the curtains don't match the drapes, but the curtains don't match the drapes. The curtains don't match the carpet. But, oh my gosh, the curtains don't match the drapes. This is me. So I feel like I'm dying up here. Anyway, so I did do laser. I loved it. I was a very good candidate for it because I have pretty pale skin, and it was relatively dark hair. So the contrast was beautiful. It worked really well for me. Almost everything was gotten rid of by laser first. So I did do some electrolysis. I was, less enthusiastic about it. And I will put it to you like this too. If I were to relate the two, like let's say, because most people don't, a lot of people, Phoebe knows some maybe, a lot of people don't like priests, right? Most people would like the Inquisition priests. Ooh, I know who's going to tell me. Matt, who are the people? Who are those people that? Who is the sect of priests that was capable of doing that was enabled to do the Inquisition? Because hopefully you remember. I can't remember the group of priests, the sect of priests, but because only Jesuits come into mind. But anyway, point being that, if you have like priests, like the regular priest is like laser hair removal. Electrolysis to me is Dominicans. Oh my gosh, there you go. Thank you, Acer. Woohoo! I'm giving you applause, Acer. The Dominican priests, yes. So like, laser hair removal is like those Lutheran pastors that you meet who are kind of like, are you sure you really should have sex before marriage? Because it might end in tears. And electrolysis is like a Dominican priest going, we are going to pull out every single one of your hairs one by one. But before we do it, we're going to burn the bejesus out of your skin. And then it's really going to suck. So, oof, it was pretty awful. That being said, I keep thinking about going back. I keep on going, I got a little bit left. Should I just go back? I should go back. But I have yet to. Because it's also super costly. All of our hair removal is super costly. Ned also says, religion is like underwear. Most people have it, but you still shouldn't show it off in public. So true. All right. Yeah, so right. So Ned, you still have some white hairs in your regrettable beard. Yeah. Hey, Margie's here. Hi, Margie. So Louise, spironolactone, was used for acne in teenage girls and maybe for premature pubescence. I can't remember. I really can't recall. All right, I'm going to go back to, because Matt had another. Here we go. The people in power are full of hate, but most right-wingers think they understand. Yeah. Without making the effort to do so. Yeah, they really do. It's fascinating to me. And I've seen this on both sides. I'm certainly not going to say that this is particular to conservatives, although that it does really seem that, at least right now, conservatives are winning this particular battle. But when I've seen, at least in politicians, when you don't know something, the best thing to do is just yell it really loud, right? Because I don't know, but I'm going to yell it really loud, and people will go, damn, that person must know. I mean, they really must know, right? Because they're yelling it loud. You wouldn't yell it loud if you didn't know. And unfortunately, yeah, you will. And so, this is what I see right now with the Conservative Party, which sort of sucks because, for what it's worth, like, back when I was younger, back in the early days, right? It was back in the last century, the last millennium. I would lean probably more conservative than liberal. And it's been fascinating to me now to see the people that I probably would have supported now go, oh no, you're awful. No, we need to round you up and get you off somewhere so that you can't hurt all the children that I'm not hurting. Which there's another one that I kind of go, where are all the kids? Who are the kids I'm supposedly harming? I don't, because nobody at this point has been harmed. So, all right, let me see. Dominicans. Yeah, well, so agreed with you, Matt. Matt says both sides do it, but the right is worse. Agreed. And the funny thing is that I think that it's become a necessary part of being a politician now. That what you have to do is be able to scream really loudly. But I think that's part of what the part of the polarization that we see in in politics, in all of our politicians, because now we have to keep going. in order to stand out, this is a guess of mine. I don't know if it's entirely true, but I think in order to stand out, you have to get more and more like weird, more and more reactionary, and so you have to scream louder and louder about the weirdest things before people go, oh my gosh, I should really follow this person. So what's getting me now is that the people I actually really like AOC, all she's doing is going, wow, look at these weird people shouting really loud. That's most of her platform now. And I go, yeah, you go, AOC. I want Kamala Harris to have AOC as her running mate in what, 2028? It's too damn long. It's really too long. All right. What do we got here? Oh, Margie says, Margie says she's had no laser or electrolysis or anything, mostly financial obstacles. I thought you were going to say because you were just that awesome. I'm sorry. Financial obstacles suck. Absolutely. And then Margie says, oh, this is put really well. You said what I said in a much more succinct way. Conviction and delivery should not be mistaken for authority. That's really well said. Thank you so much. But Louise also says one of the advantages of being older than 60 is that you lose your body hair. That's a good point. You know what's funny? I had always thought of myself like growing older because I never expected to transition gender. I always expected, because I would, I'd see old men, I'm not sure how to put it, but I'd see, elderly men and like their legs were always super thin and hairless. And I was like, cool, is this what I have to look forward to? Like, that would be cool, right? I think that'd be good. So there you go. One of the advantages. Something else that I'm just remembering, because this is not, I have not like an endorsement or anything, but I just remembered those little epilator things, right? Those depilator things, depilatory little electric shebangers. I'm sorry to use technical terms on you there. Depilatory shebangers, right? There you go. I just started using, because there was one place I have a tattoo, and they wouldn't do laser hair removal over it. So I've been using this little zip, tweezer thing, electric tweezer dealie to pluck those hairs. And I forget how great that is. Anyway, I'm not trying to say anything about it. Just, it is kind of fascinating. I've been really happy with this so far. I mean, for that tiny little patch that has a tattoo on it. But all right, let me see. Matt says, I was born in the mid-1900s. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, it was 1970, man. My back hurts just admitting it. Yep, same here. All right, well, let's see. Opie is here. Hello, Opie. Opie says, he, him. Okay, good. So Opie says, I turned 30 and my check knee light turned on. So crazy. I have always had, my knees have always been pretty good. And oh gosh, when was this? Oh, almost 10 years ago now. I stopped wearing shoes that had any vague semblance of support, and then I started running barefoot once my feet were strong enough. And oh my gosh, I've never, it sounds totally counterintuitive to, not to wear supportive shoes. But when you think about it too, it's not until the 1970s, what was it, late 1970s, that Nike even came into existence with big ass heels, a negative drop in, from heel to toe. Anyway, I don't want to talk about feet too much, but it's fascinating to me that, we didn't used to have shoes that were like this, and it's only been more recently that we've had troubles with feet. I was thinking about being a podiatrist at one point, just to throw that out there. I don't really know why, but I was thinking about, I do know why, because I was a runner and I thought, I should help other people with their feet. All right. Oh, thanks, Matt. Matt says, love listening to my talks. Thank you. Hi, Opie. Good to see you. All right, let me go back to YouTube here. All right, so Margie says she was facing exclusion from more and more queer spaces because of the targeted hate campaigns, not her own behavior. I agree with you. Margie goes on to say safe space policies are thereby used to harm, not protect. And I mean, if you look at Margie, I know you're not in the US, and I don't know if you've ever been in the US, but if you look at like the executive order in particular that talks about woke gender ideology, I mean, it's called the Protecting Women, right? The Protecting Women executive order. What it does is try to establish safe spaces. And ironically, those safe spaces are going to be places where women get put after they've been assaulted. Which is interesting because you're like, well, geez, Trump, thanks. I guess that's cool. Let's make sure that the people. I mean, I think it's good that we have places where women can go after men have abused them. Typically, that's not transgender women abusing them because they talked about domestic abuse shelters. Domestic abuse. That's something that happens at home, domestic, right? And not by transgender women. So it is interesting. This is supposed to be a safe space policy, but what it does is really it's being used is to say we need to protect women, but they're trying to say we need to protect women by harming pretty much anybody except for the people who are perpetrating these crimes. So what in the what? Ugh. So Spaghetti Geist brings up a great point, the LGB without the T crowd, which is another safe space policy. There is somebody on TikTok, and I'm gonna try to Damien. Damn, I'm sorry. I wish I could remember Damien's name. If Damien ever sees this, he will know. But Damien has said, by the way, Matt, no, I think you're cool without YouTube modding YouTube. But Damien made a shirt, and it was a phenomenal shirt, and I think has been purchased many times, and Damien deserves it. But it was a shirt that had, in case any of us here is like a D&D kind of dork, but it said, when we roll initiative, we all roll, and it was 6 different D20s. This was maybe not the gesture to use there, but 6 different D20s that went through all the different pride flags. So the bisexual flag, the lesbian flag, the gay flag, the pride flag, the transgender flag. And it's true. I mean, what are the chances that when somebody gets done with the transgender community that they're not going to keep going? If you can negate one existence, one identity, you're going to work to negate other identities. And there's no chance when this is largely religiously motivated, there's no chance they're not going to go after the rest of the LG and B. There's just no chance. So, sort of silly. Let's see. Oh, Margie says this is guided by a trans community leader. I don't even know what to say about that. When you have the people who should love you working against you. Eek. Louise, I think this is supposed to be a joke, and I wish I knew what it was. WikiFeet, is that a real like website? Or oh, wait a minute, Margie, you're a citizen of the U.S. as well as New Zealand and Canada? I didn't know that. I thought you grew up in Canada. Nice. All right. Yes, Spaghetti Geist. So I'm telling you, look for somebody named Damien. I know he's transgender. I really wish I could remember his name because the shirt was great, and I know Damien made a few. Really cool. Ooh, maybe that's it. But I know Damien made a few, like D&D themed shirts that are all like pride affirming, and they were super cool. Really super cool. I highly recommend those. I just wish that I knew who the hell it was. I feel kind of dumb, but. All right, what else do we have here? Okay, Margie says she lived in Pennsylvania and Utah. Ooh, that's a bummer. Utah. Matt is a D&D dork. I don't know. Well, you can't see it, so you can see it on YouTube. Let me see if I can get my finger to go up here, right? Oops, I can't. I can never figure out which direction to go here. But right here, you'll see all of my D&D books. It's quite a few. And I want to mention here too, we only just started looking at the 2024 D&D books because my son and I play like a bunch of D&D, and we've played a few different type games, but I have yet to look at them. I think they started coming out like some 6 months ago, right? Like the player's handbook came out, or maybe it was the DM guide that came out first. Then it's only just now that I'm looking at them, and only because I had credit on Amazon, which feels kind of crummy to me. That wait, no red box? I actually had the original red box. I think I got it in like 1980. I don't have it. I don't think I still have it, but yes, I had a red box. Fun times. Anyway, I've really not looked at the 2024 stuff. I'm going to tell you this though. The version 2.0, the 2E stuff, the advanced D&D, I just, what? I mean, come on. When you have like when you're worried about encumbrance, right? Like if is it in your front pocket or is it in some on your back? That's worried. That's worrying a little too much. I'm just gonna let that go. Oh, Matt, you had the red box too. Good on you. Look at that. We talked about this that we should make a game anyway, but let's see. Well, Margie, that's probably true. Says her votes is still in Salt Lake City. Didn't bother voting this time. It was utterly pointless. Yeah, because I imagine Utah was pretty highly skewed, you know, Trump. But oh, here we go. See, now Matt's saying he really cut his teeth on AD&D second edition old school Thaco player, right? I like saying Thaco. Everybody goes, no. It's Thaco. And I go, but it was AC, right? So AC for armor class. I like Thaco personally. And I'm going on record with that. Obviously I did because it's recording, but still. Yeah, I think we should all play. We should all play. Mischief says we're gonna have to play D&D together. I think we should all make this big. We should all live stream. We should all live stream D&D Transgender Dungeons and Dragons. So, see, here we go. Oh no, Matt, it can't be Thaco. Thaco? That doesn't work. It does too make the A long. Anyway. I will respectfully disagree with Matt on the pronunciation, and I'm not looking at your comments. You can keep saying it. I'm not going to look at it. All right. Wait, not a short O. Thaco, you're saying. I don't like it. All right. I've got about 2 minutes left here. So I may as well just go ahead and start bringing it home. I do want to say thank you so much to so Matt's giving me hints here. It's like it's pronounced like you're falling off a cliff, which happens, right? Because you're like, hey, what does it take to hit armor class 0? And then somebody goes, it doesn't make a difference because you've been pushed off a cliff. And you go, ouch, that's a bummer. All right, I am going to say thank you so much, first of all, to Frybird and Matt Adland for modding over on TikTok, and then Matt modding on YouTube as well. So thank you so much. Definitely going to say thank you to Mischief. I love saying it like that. It sounds very French. Mischief. And then Ned 7000, Margie, good to see you. Oh my gosh. Emily, good to see you as well. Spaghetti Geist, I think this is the first time I've seen you, so thank you so much for showing up. Emily, I said. Louise, good to see you again too. Erica, absolutely great. I'm glad to hear that everything is going well for you. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up here and asking the questions, because I got to tell you, it really makes me happy that I'm that I'm able to do these kinds of things, I'm going to end up crying. It's just cool. I'm glad that in general, content creation has become something that I can actually do for reals, because I think it's important that transgender people ultimately end up with representation in ways that we don't have. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. So Matt says, "Don't cry." You know, I get really emotional when I think about the idea that there's like a whole community, like my whole community. I mean, I'm able to do this. I'm able to provide some representation, but there's a whole community unheard. I mean, and Margie's saying she's facing exclusion from more and more queer spaces. I mean, you know, what in the world? So there you go. Come on, Discord. Keep on the borderlands. There we go. Do you know what we have to do? Actually, because I've got, I can't remember what it was called, but it was Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I think it is. That was a great adventure, and it's all in fairyland. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. So there you go. You have a barbarian with an intelligence of 6? Wow. I'm also going to say, so Ned 7000 says, my niece had an AC -9, but her character died by failing a save versus death. You got to be joking me. Save versus death. All right. Thank you again to everybody. Agreed with you, Spaghetti Geist. We're going to continue making our own spaces. And this is one. So thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Yes, I will be here. There is one week I'm not. I think it's the week after, because I'm going to Paganicon 2025. It'll be cool. I'm going to Minnesota, right? Why not? So, all right. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week.